So we talked about all these 9 points. So is there a sequence for this feeling? Can one have feeling of care without trust?
Yeah, if you look at them, we said trust is the foundational value and love is the complete value. So, in that sense there is a sequence. Okay. It all has to start with trust and it has to complete with love, right, all other feelings in between. Okay. So, there is a sequence because trust is the foundation, okay, of relationship and love is the completion of relationship. So, it has to begin with trust and it has to complete with feeling of love, right. So, that is one, two ends are fixed. Okay. Then with trust, before you are able to relate to the other, that respect is necessary, right. So, with trust, when you now try to evaluate the other, you are able to see that the other is like you, and there may be differences in competence which can be defined in terms of complementarity. Okay. So, with trust we need to respect, to evaluate the other properly, and out of this trust and respect this affection is born, that feeling of being related to the other is born. When you have this feeling of affection, then only you will have the feeling of care and guidance, because if you are not feeling related to the other, why would you care, why do why would you provide the guidance. So, that care and guidance is born out of that feeling of affection. So, there seems to be a sequence like this, that we start with trust, the foundation value, then move on to respect, then these two together gives rise to affection, and then affection gives rise to care and guidance, right. And if you expand this, right, then ultimately it leads to love. So, this is the one sequence that we can see. Okay. But as I mentioned in between, when we are discussing, we were saying that if the relationship has to be understood and accepted, right, then trust is the place from where we begin, by understanding the fact that we are complementary to each other. That is our natural acceptance, to be happy and make others happy, right, to be related to each other in a mutually fulfilling manner. That clarity leads to the feeling of trust, So, that is the place from where we start. So, when you talk about the people who can understand, and accept relationship on the basis of this understanding, then trust is the beginning point, and that is how you build up from trust to respect to affection to care and guidance and ultimately to love. But when it comes to the children, right, they do not start with understanding the relationship, they start with the acceptance of what is given to them in relationship, what is given by the parents, the mother, the father, the friends, the brothers and sisters and everybody, right. So, if you look at the child kind of starts accepting relationship on the basis of what is given to him or her by the others, right. In that case, it starts with gratitude, gratitude for what the other people in the family, the parents, the friends, the brother, the sister, the grandfather, they are doing for him, right. So, out of the acceptance for what the other family members are doing for him, he has a feeling of gratitude, which we defined, what they are doing for the excellence in the child, for the child to understand what is right, to have the right feeling, to have to nurture the body, all that he is receiving from others in the family. On the basis of that, he has this feeling of gratitude. On the basis of that feeling of gratitude, he feels related to them, right. So, it is not now that trust and that respect, that trust particularly, which is born out of his understanding of relationship. It is born out of the acceptance or reception of what is being given to him by the others. So, that is the feeling of gratitude. So, there things we start with gratitude. So, for the children, okay, it starts with gratitude. With gratitude you have feeling of affection, right. With gratitude you have feeling of affection, and like that. So, when you are talking about the grown ups, the sequence is trust, respect, affection, care, guidance, ultimately love, right. When it comes to children, or this normal procedure in the society, it comes through gratitude. So, with gratitude you have affection, with affection then you would like to kind of also care for the elders, for other members, family in the members in the family. You may not have the capacity for guidance, but at least for care you have the capacity to something or the other the child will start doing for you, okay. So, like that it will go on. But one very important point that has to be noticed is that will this acceptance of relationship will have continuity without understanding the relationship, without having that feeling of trust, right, which is unconditional, which is continuous. Jan had asked, I am asking that if I have this feeling of relationship born out of the gratitude, that is what people have done for me, right, and if I have not understood the relationship, and therefore I do not have this feeling, that feeling of trust which is unconditional and continuous, right, then can I have this continuity of feeling of being related to the other, or with any small incidents, okay, where the other person instead of helping me in the process, right, violates it or hinders it, right, will I still continue to have the feeling of relationship?
No.
And that is what is happening between the father and the son, between the mother and the son. The son is able to appreciate that mother is doing so much, the father is doing so much for him, and therefore he feels related to them. But in any occasion, if father does not do what this child considers he should do for him, he starts developing a feeling of opposition with the father, right. So, what is happening is that we may start with this feeling of gratitude, but we may not be able to continue with this feeling of gratitude on relationship. Somewhere we have to have this feeling of trust which is founded on understanding of relationship, and therefore the unconditional continuous acceptance of relationship on the basis of understanding relationship, not on the basis of acceptance of what help I am getting from the other. So, if you talk about continuity of relationship, then it has to be founded on trust, trust which is born out of understanding of relationship, not out of the incidents that somebody is helping me in the process of happiness and prosperity. If there are incidents, then there may be counter incidents after some time. So, if there is some counter incidents, I will start doubting his intention. So, I will repeat again, I am saying that if you look at the grown ups, right, things will start with trust on the basis of understanding of relationship, right. Then it will move on to respect, affection, care, guidance, and ultimately to love. When you talk about the children, it is founded, this relationship thing, acceptance of relationship, it starts with gratitude, what the parents, the others are doing for him. But even that, acceptance of relationship can become unconditional and continuous only when the child has understood the relationship, not otherwise. Okay. And therefore, he has that acceptance of trust or acceptance of relationship which is unconditional and continuous. But let me just add something more to what Manoranjan was asking about the sequence of the feelings. So, I have talked about two sequence. One is about when you are talking to grown ups, for them how this relationship, these feelings will be sequenced, and when you are talking about the children, how these feelings will be sequenced. But there is yet another sequence, right, which is when you are looking at somebody who has this excellence, right, who has understood the harmony in entire existence, okay, that is starting from self to entire existence, then what will be the sequence? Okay. Then everything will start from love. So, out of the realization of coexistence, he will be able to see that the whole existence is in the form of coexistence, therefore, everything is related to everything else, therefore, I am related to everyone, right. Therefore, that feeling of love is there, and out of that love, then he will think in terms of other feelings, right. So, there it will start with love, right, it will start with complete value, and then unfolding of this complete value will express itself in terms of other values, right, in terms of affection for specific individuals, in terms of expression of that affection in terms of care and guidance for the one who I am trying to express my affection, my responsibility. So, like that it will come. So, for them, for the one who is realized, the sequence of these feelings will start with love and then unfold in terms of affection, in terms of care, in terms of guidance, and of course, he will have this feeling of reverence for those who have already achieved this excellence, of course, the gratitude for glory for those who have been working on it, right, and gratitude for those who have done so much for him to realize. But it will all begin with the feeling of love. Yes. Yeah. So, coming back to your question, okay, will you repeat that question?
So, this is okay. So, I think this will answer this part of that question. But I am asking that if someone is realize that coexistence, then this expectation between the relationship are there. So, this will still there, or they don't have expect something, because until if you are expecting something, someone, then means your happiness dependent on that.